Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today for some gluten-free baking. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to use my fluffy pancake recipe from my new cookbook, Savored Moments from My Table to Yours. And it's actually the very first recipe in my cookbook. Fluffy pancakes, one of our favorites, one of our kids' favorites that we discovered early on. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make this gluten-free, just as I suggested in the cookbook. So what I'd love for you to do is follow along. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at the cookbook, I'll drop the link down below, and let's get cooking. All right, so if you're in the group, I will also drop this recipe in the group. So here we go. This is going to serve 4, and it's only going to take maybe 15-20 minutes, depending on how quick we are in the kitchen, right? That's how it works. So what we're going to do today is, so the one thing I did want to caution about recipe adaptations is that the more you adapt in a single recipe, the higher the chance the recipe is not going to turn out to taste or to texture, or may not turn out altogether. So today, for the pancake recipe, we're only going to make one substitution. We're just going to swap in a gluten-free flour blend that has xanthan gum to help with that structure, right, which is missing from the gluten. And we're not going to substitute. Oh, and we are going to substitute for dairy. We're going to substitute in coconut milk for dairy milk. Okay. One of my favorite gluten-free blends is, learning how to use my camera, is Bob's Red Mill. We can show it over here. Okay. This is a 1-to-1 ratio substitution. So very quick, very easy. Used to be when I first started cooking professionally for families that this wasn't the kind of thing that you could find on the market, and you had to mix your own. So needless to say, I am very grateful for high quality products such as this from Bob's Red Mill. All right, and I'll drop the link down below for Bob's Red Mill as well. Okay, the thing about pancakes is you want to have your pan hot once your batter is ready. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to use a small crepe pan over here, one of my favorite pans to use, and we're going to just turn the burner on to, I usually like to heat about medium high, and then I'll drop it down to medium low that way. And I'm on a flat top electric. So just keep in mind, if you're using gas or electric, gas will heat up and cool down quicker than electric will. Electric, it'll heat slower, and it will also cool slower. So I like to bump it up just a little bit above to where I want it. That way, when I drop it back down, it's at the right temperature. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to use a Pyrex. It's one of my favorite things to use. These are actually from my Pyrex has been around for a long time. This is actually one of a set from my husband's grandmother. Okay, so pancakes. Considering how many times I've made this, you'd think I'd had it memorized off the top of my head, right? Okay, we've got 1.5 cups all-purpose flour, and this is one of my favorite tools. It is from Pampered Chef, and it is just, you can do wet and dry. We need 1.5 cups of dry. Okay. I'm going to do it over this so I don't, in case anything decides to spill out. There we go. And our pan is heating almost up to the top. There we go. Shake it down just a little to make sure, yep, we've gotten to the top on that. Okay. All right, next up is baking powder, 3.5 teaspoons. of baking powder, which is so it's 3 teaspoons to 1 tablespoon, which is, so it would be a heaping tablespoon. Okay, but we're just going to do 3. 1, 2, 3 and a half. Okay. 1 teaspoon of salt. Now remember, we don't want things salty, but salt will bring out flavor. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of regular table salt. If you're using sea salt, use half. Okay. 1 tablespoon of regular sugar. You could substitute in monk fruit if you wanted to, or you could leave the sugar out altogether if you wanted to, depending on what you're going to add, right? Okay. 1 1/4 cups milk. So we're going to turn our measuring cup around. Okay. What I like to do with the dry is we want to mix this all together. Make sure all the dry ingredients are properly distributed. Okay. Then we're going to put in, let's see, 1 1/4 cups milk. So 1 1/4 is right here. And this is one of my favorites. So Delicious is one of my favorite brands. This is the unsweetened organic. Again, I like to control the amount of sugar in my dishes. You can also get the vanilla. In that case, I probably wouldn't add extra sugar. Okay, 1 1/4. I always like to make a little hole. There we go. Oh, we also need an egg, and we need some butter. Okay, it's 1 egg. I also will always include a little bit of vanilla. I like my pancakes to have a little bit of flavor from the beginning, just a little bit. We usually like to put Nutella on there, or jam, or maple syrup. Okay, 3 tablespoons of butter melted. I'm actually going to sub in olive oil. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we're going to give this a good whisk. And you can see it's already starting to bubble a little bit. There we go. Now you don't need it to be completely smooth. You want most of the big bubbles out. There we go. All right. Set that over here. Now I always like to measure. I like to measure my pancakes with a scoop. Again, this is one of my 3 scoops from Pampered Chef. And if you're looking for a Pampered Chef distributor, I know one. She also made my lovely apron, which is 2-sided. Okay, let's check our pan. Let's see. I think you can see the pan here in the distance a little bit. We're going to move over. So let me know, pancakes. We can see that. What are some of your favorite ways to do pancakes? Okay, and we're going to, let's see, I'm going to switch views here. But I might lose the microphone. I'm not sure. I am just learning how to use all of these tools. Okay, here we go. All right. You can always check your pan by flicking a little bit of water on there. It is very hot. So I am going to turn it down to about 4. We're going to put a little bit of butter in the pan. Okay. And then go 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're watching for, I don't know if volume is still recording. I don't know if we're still getting volume. I can't tell. There we go. Okay. So we have 3 little pancakes there in the pan, and we are waiting for some little bubbles to form on top, which means that, chemical reactions are happening and the pancake is actually cooking. And then we're going to flip them over. Now, remember, the first batch, the pan is always a little bit too hot. So these may not be golden brown, but the next batch will be. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and flip these. Oh, not bad. All right, and one more. Now, if you're adding any kind of blueberries or chocolate chips or nuts, any kind of add-ins, I always like to do it when the pancake is half cooked before I flip it over. That way it doesn't get too messy, and you can also easily distribute. You can make it even, right? And these, see, we can see the butter got a little bit brown. And you can tell they're done. These are still a little bit raw. They're not quite, they're a little bit dry on the outside. You can see around the rim. Okay, but they're not quite done yet. A baked good is done when you press it and it bounces right back. But we can tell that these are still a little ooey gooey on the inside. And in the meantime, if you're making bacon, if you're making eggs, if you're doing any kind of extras to go on the side of your pancakes, you can have that going as well. There's in the cookbook, in the same breakfast chapter, there is also our favorite sweet and spicy bacon recipe, which can go into you can even do it in the air fryer. I have an air fryer on my oven. So I usually like to put the bacon in for 10 minutes on the air fryer. And so by the time the pancakes are done, the bacon's done, and you can easily do eggs at the same, right when people are serving themselves, because eggs take minutes, less than minutes to actually cook. Okay, let's see. I think we are almost done here. Golden and fluffy. We're going to do one more. I'll do a second round just to show you. I have dropped my... So I usually like to have my burner on between number 4 and number 5 for this. So I'll probably warm it up at around 6 and then drop it down to about 4.5, maybe 4, depending on, depending on how the pancakes or whatever it is in the pan turns out for the first time around. Okay. So here, I'm going to switch views one more time just because I just figured out how to do this today. There we go. All right. Now, I don't think that view has audio. So what I wanted to do while the second batch is cooking is let's take a look at the inside of one of these pancakes, right? Because gluten-free, we always, well, used to at least, associate gluten-free texture with not fluffy, not golden, something that isn't going to stand up to, say, butter and maple syrup. So let's take a look. Look at that. Oh, yes. Fluffy and golden, perfectly ready for my favorite butter and maple syrup. Okay. We also love blueberries. We also love chocolate chips. So add a way to your favorite. What's your favorite way? Tell me down below for pancakes. And I'm just take one more closer look at the pan because you can see it. Here we go. And those are just about ready to flip. So thank you so much for joining me for gluten-free pancakes. This is the very first recipe in my new cookbook, Savored Moments. And I hope you give it a try, and I hope you let us know how it turns out for you. So coming up, we have gluten-free cookies, a dairy-free, creamy, vegan pasta sauce, as well as a vegan vegetable soup. So continue to check in today, and I will be dropping more kitchen videos. Thanks so much.